Hi everyone! So the Greater Alternative YouTube community video for this month is about how goth is a lifestyle, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my own experiences, but I'm also going to be quoting quite a lot from a sociologist called Dr. Paul Hodgkinson, who has studied the goth subculture in detail and indeed written books about us. And he basically followed a bunch of kids from the late teens and early 20s in the late 90s, and then he followed them up 10 years later to find out more about who they were, whether they were still on the scene, what they were doing with their lives. And he said he kind of found out a lot more about who goths really are by studying these people and talking to them. So I've got an article here that was written in The Guardian a few years ago, and I'm going to be quoting a little bit from that and kind of talking about that as well, because I think it kind of lays out pretty much how I feel about the whole thing. So it says, to outsiders, it's the visual markers of being a goth. Long dyed black hair, black clothes, pale faces contrasted with dark dramatic eye makeup that stand out. Taken on their own, these characteristics might be reasonably easy to cast off. However, Hodgkinson says that although the aesthetic and clothing are important, the primary tenets of involvement in this subculture mean being thoroughly passionate about goth music and style. And some goths would tell you they have an interest in the dark side of life and a natural tendency towards a degree of angst. This means a level of commitment to the goth scene and friendship groups, an identity that develop around being a goth, which result in social lives that are so intertwined that it would feel very odd to leave it, he says. Now, I really completely agree with that statement. I mean, obviously we all kind of come into the scene from slightly different angles. Some of us might be more interested in the literature, some of us might be more interested in the aesthetic and the style, others of us might be purely interested in the music. But once we kind of all come together, quite often we do that in our teens and 20s when we're making new friendship groups. And when we find this really solid group of people who are so like us and so friendly and generally open-minded, we really don't see any reason why we would leave that friendship group. I mean, obviously a few people do kind of drift away over time, but Dr. Hodgkinson found that most of those people actually stayed in the scene, and that's to do with this whole real strong sense of community that I think that we have. We support each other, we tend to work together to make things like festivals or bands happen. We're all very creative and we've got a similar creative aesthetic, so we see the beauty in things like death and darkness that other people find creepy or weird or frightening. And so we all come together with this same understanding, and once we're together we really don't know why we would ever want to leave that group, because we're all so similar and so supportive of each other, and we really feel like we've found a space where we really belong. So for instance, from my point of view, I started getting into the goth aesthetic first when I was kind of in my early to mid-teens, and from there I discovered more about the music, and obviously you'll hear a lot more about that on my goth tag and also on my On Goth Confessions, where I tell you about the bits where I'm not actually a goth. But I kept getting more and more into the music and more into other aspects of the scene. And then in my late teens, early 20s, I started hanging out with a group of people called the London Goth Sluts, who are basically just a group of goths in London who met up every week on a Thursday at a different pub every time and just kind of socialised and got to know each other better. And I joined that group, and like 15 years later, some of them are still some of my best friends. You know, I've grown up with them, we've gotten to know each other really, really well, we've supported each other through our downfalls and our triumphs, we've joined bands, we've played gigs together, we've created together, we've appreciated each other's creativity as well, so we've supported each other's creativity. So I think that's a really, really strong thing for everybody, that kind of creative output that connects you all together. And then once you're connected, you don't want to drift away, because these are people that understand you, these are the people that you've grown up with. And so you stick with them, you stay with them. Now, a really good thing about the goth scene that Dr. Hodgkinson talks about is also the fact that we value knowledge. We're very interested in learning new things about history, about our own subculture, about politics, about spirituality, about all sorts of different things, and therefore we've kind of come to a similar sort of intellectual understanding with one another, and so we can have really interesting conversations with one another about things like politics and spirituality and music and creativity and all sorts of other things that perhaps we might not feel like we can have with other people. So we're a group of people who are quite intelligent, we're very open-minded, we're all interested in the same things. It's not just about how we look, it's not just about the music that we listen to, but it's about every single aspect of our lives. And because we have these things in common and because we've grown up together, that means that we've stayed in this group of people, we've continued to be goths. Even the people who have gone on to kind of higher paid jobs and that sort of thing, although they've had to tone down their look and maybe they don't dye their hair anymore, or they don't have the same piercings, or they don't dress super goth to work or anything like that, they've still got that aesthetic, they've still got that sense of a real grounding in who they are. I mean, even when I was working a very boring 9-to-5 job, I was still who I am, you know, I still dyed my hair and I still hung out with goths and I still listened to kind of goth music and I still made music myself. And it's such an expression of who I am, it's just 100% who I am. And I just couldn't imagine being anybody else. I've always been interested in dark things, in a different aesthetic to what's considered to be normal, and I've never really got on with so-called normal people. I don't really understand them. And so when I found this group of people that I understood, everything just clicked immediately, and it's therefore a thing that I would never want to leave. It's a thing that completes me. The people that I meet are some of the most beautiful, generous, intelligent, creative people that I would not have met anywhere else. I really honestly believe that I wouldn't have met them anywhere else. For us, we'll walk into a venue with other alternative people and we'll instantly feel safe. And we'll instantly feel connected to those people, even if we've never met them before, even if we don't know them. And having that such a strong tribal sense of community, I think that's what holds us together, and I think that's what makes goth a lifestyle for most of us. Certainly for me anyway. Just this knowledge that all these people are so similar to me and that I feel so safe with them. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this discussion. Let me know what you think. Tell me about your experiences and about how you think goth is a lifestyle for you in the comments. Like this video if you like it. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos, and let me know what sort of other videos you'd like to see from me. And to all of you, take care, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye!